Nice day again today, although there are some people already asking for the rain to come back. I guess they're just worried about things like a dry spell, kind of like what happened last year. And what's going on today? Kind of interesting stuff actually. I guess the first one's sort of a follow-up where you read the news before on how there was a company that's going to be, I guess, flying drones around areas to scope out, I guess, illegal firework displays. And this one here, they kind of talk about things like the cost, and wow, I don't know about that. It says here, drone operation to find CA fireworks, users defended. Kern County fire official says they were alerted to more than 100 violations. The services of a company providing drone surveillance to catch illegal fireworks users over the Independence Day weekend cost taxpayers thousands of dollars, money the Kern County Fire Department said was well worth it. The county's agreement with Solvang-based Overwatch Aero LLC, in effect from June 23rd until the end of June next year, calls for spending no more than $44,500. How much is ultimately spent remains to be seen. The Californian obtained a copy of the contract through a California Public Records Act request after fire officials originally refused to name who was providing the drone service. That alone is kind of controversial actually. It says Overwatch Aero LLC's fee schedule started each deployment cost $1,125, a $2,250 per hour flight rate with a minimum flight charge of 3 hours per day. Includes live full motion video stream delivered to county personnel, data including location and video evidence, and labor for flight operations according to the contract. Wow, that sounds really expensive for, I guess, just flying the drone and getting video feeds and all that. It says KCFD noted the drone flew July 3rd and July 4th. Billable hours of the drone's use for the holidays is estimated to be about $25,000, Captain Andrew Freeborn, a KCFD public information officer, wrote in an email Tuesday. Now they're staying firm, it seems like, to say it's justified, but this one actually made me think whether or not this is controversial, because it says this amount is justified, he noted, because the cost to use the drone is offset by funds received from citations. So I believe here it says the estimate shows the drone flagged 100 potential violations with citations of $1,500 each, which results in revenues of roughly $150,000, Freeborn said via email. And with that, it says from a public safety standpoint, it is certainly justifiable. I don't know, to me that sounds kind of controversial, isn't it? Where you're flying this, it's a really expensive, and you justify it because you can find people to, I guess, fine, and that should make up the cost. Shouldn't this be all about safety, where you get something that's practical? If you find someone doing something illegal, then take care of it, versus actually treating it kind of like a company revenue stream, like, oh, let's fly this out today and see how many people we can find. It seems kind of wrong, isn't it? It'll be no different, in my opinion, than, let's just say, I don't know, people actively going out trying to ticket as many people as possible, where the motivation is to make money, versus actually just trying to, I guess, enforce the law to make things, quote, safe. And it seems like they try to further defend their position and trying to hide the company's name and all that initially. And it says David Lloyd, the legal director of the First Amendment Coalition, which advocates for open government, said there was nothing illegal about Freeborn declining to name the company and instead directing a reporter to file a CPRA request. However, there is no reason for a government official to refuse to share information that's contained in public documents, he added. That sounds to me like a lot of stonewalling. I agree with this personally. It is public money, and it says a business should not contract with the government if it does not want its name disclosed, Loy added. That is the cost of doing business with the government, he noted. So what would you think of overall in this case? Do you think it's appropriate, inappropriate? At the same time, it reminds me again where when it comes to making things like safety regulations per se, to me, this doesn't sound like a safety. If you're actually hunting around saying, oh, you just, quote, broke the law so I can fine you, I don't know, thousands of dollars. Can you imagine that? Where, For example, you have these drones, whatever, they're contracting a company tens of thousands of dollars, and now you're gonna bust a kid because the rules say, oh, you're flying in quote controlled airspace, even though they're just on their own property, for example, no higher than their house. I'm gonna fine you $5,000, so that makes it up for all our, I don't know, police work, equipment and all that. Like, that's ridiculous. What does that have to do about safety? That's the scary part too. You make regulations and so forth so over the top, ridiculous, people could abuse it in that way. And in terms of things like law enforcement and all that, this was actually really interesting. Apparently there was unfortunate news in the US not too long ago where there was a mass shooting, and apparently one of the controversy where afterwards people found out there was a shooter in the school and police took forever for whatever reason to go in and get the guy, and because of that, you can imagine lots of people were killed. Now recently a video was actually released and you can kind of see, I guess, all the events taking place of the police officers going in. Like this one says what? Exclusive Uvalde video shows school shooting, police in hallway after shooter entered classroom. It is as they say in a lot of the reports and why people are mad, it seems like. You see police officers, they go in and from the looks of it, he shot at them, I guess, like the shooter inside the school, and because of that the police backed off. They brought in so much, I guess, heavy artillery people. They still stood around like what, maybe for like an hour or something like that, until they actually went in and took him out. So that's making people really upset. Now I can't really say, because like in those situations when you're in the moment everyone reacts differently, but I would imagine personally there, you're trained, you have all that equipment. Holy, isn't that way too long? Like an hour to get in to take the guy out per se? Not surprising, again, it seems like a lot of the victims' families are really upset over that. And here is an official statement. It says, statement from the DPS director Stephen McCraw on the release of the video from Robb Elementary School. It says, I am deeply disappointed this video was released before all of the families who were impacted that day in the community of Uvalde had the opportunity to view it as part of Chairman Dustin Burrow's plan. Those most affected should have been among the first to see it. As I stated during my testimony before the Senate Special Committee to Protect All Texans, this video provides horrifying evidence that the law enforcement response to attack at Robb Elementary on May 24th was an abject failure. In law enforcement, when one officer fails, we all fail. And an interesting perspective from what I was reading in terms of comments, I believe this story raised a lot of arguments on whether or not this is an example where, I guess, people in the US, because they have a lot of freedom right now to carry things like firearms, whether or not you should ban them, for example, I guess, because this is why you have crazy people going around shooting people that are innocent. Whereas on the flip side, I guess, with this video, people are arguing, well, here's an example why people need a quote, I guess, firearm, whatever, to defend themselves, because if a teacher or whatever had one, then they would have took the person out themselves probably, versus here trying to rely on the police, which I would imagine is a really bad situation right now. And in relation to that, I guess, with a thought on how people create all these, I don't know, regulations and stuff going after regular people that make absolutely no sense, like with recreational drones, you focus so much on using whatever your law enforcement or rules to go after people who are doing absolutely nothing wrong and not harming anybody, yet here people are getting killed and all that, and obviously you aren't training people per se like the official authorities or whatever, in my opinion, from the looks of this, in order to take the situation out quickly and promptly. Start focusing on the actual criminals, not on innocent people that are doing absolutely nothing wrong. Just because what? People want to make money out of it, charging thousands of dollars for services, trying to fine people for quote money. What's kind of an upside down, I guess, procedure or world is that overall? All right, see you guys later.